Hey y'all, I'm Carolina Tony. Today the road brings me to Darlington, South Carolina, and we are here on our continuing series, Small Towns in South Carolina. Darlington is a pretty neat town. It's not too far from where I live, but there is a lot here and some things that makes this town pretty great, and we'll share that with you. We'll get started right after the station identification. Sure about the clock tower. Is that a courthouse or not? I'm not sure, but at the Liberty Theater I see Gone with the Wind is playing. Painting on the side of this building was done in 1985 by the artist that goes by the name of Blue Sky. On this corner is a vacant lot. Well, it's not really vacant anymore. It is now the Darlington Veterans Memorial. Once there was a building here. But there are some pretty interesting stories. For instance, the story of Darlington native William G. Cheraw. Here's a likeness of William Cheraw. He was a participant in the Doolittle raid, and he was tortured and killed by the Japanese army in 1942. After his capture, there was a trial, but they never told him what charges they had against him. And on the next day, October the 15th, him and two other Americans were brought by truck to the public cemetery number 1 outside Shanghai. Tied to crosses with white blindfolds were placed over their heads and black targets marked on them for the executioners. Chera's body was cremated by the Japanese, and his ashes were located after the war and returned to the United States and buried in section number 12 at Arlington National Cemetery. This memorial is an empty chair. It looks like maybe a stadium or a theater seat. But this chair serves as an instant reminder of the sacrifices made of our country by those still missing in action. All these bricks are the servicemen that served from Darlington. All gave some gave all. The first courthouse at this site was destroyed by fire on March 19, 1806. A later building thought to have been designed by architect Robert Mills burned in 1866. And in 1873 was rebuilt. Then a courthouse was built between 1903 and 1904 and was in use until 1964 when the present structure was completed. Coleman Building from around 1902. One of the longest occupants here was the Wilcox Drug Company that rented space here from 1933 to 1994. Over the years, various people occupied the upstairs, such as lawyers and other offices. Today, the downstairs serves as the Darlington Chamber of Commerce. Right next to the Coleman Building is another building that's got some pretty interesting architecture. These columns up the front. What an owl over the top. I'm gonna wager to bet though that this was a bank. I may be wrong. A lot of other old buildings down the main street. This is the Manny building from around 1892. It was built by M. Manny. After a fire destroyed most of the downtown business in Darlington, this building replaced the John Parse building from pre-1821. The M. Manny store was in it In 1901, the building was sold and the upper level was converted to a hotel. One thing that's pretty neat about this building is the front of it is made from iron. If you stare at the building long enough, you can kind of get a woozy feeling because it is wavy. I don't know if you could tell it. It's kind of slow. But the whole front of the building is wavy. It is mostly vacant now. This is the site of the old movie theater where you go to purchase your tickets. Continue on down the street. Here is another mural painted on the side of this building by artist Blue Sky. This is all about the lady in black. Now, a lot of folks might be confused as to what that is referred to. Darlington Raceway. And a tribute to an old racer, Harold Brasington. And we are on the Walk of Fame. Here are the handprints by some pretty famous racers. Darryl Jarrett, Jeff Gordon, Sterling Martin, Jeff Burton, Mark Martin, Ward Burton, Ricky Rudd. His handprints have seen better days. Lake Speed, Dale Earnhardt. Dale Earnhardt won races in Darlington in 1982, 86, 87, 89, 1990, twice, 93, 94. And this is memory of racers that were here. Joe Weatherly. The Wilcox and Company building is now a law office, but at one time it was a drugstore. Directly behind me, I don't think it's much of a historical store, but it is for me. It's burned out now, but it's an old jewelry store. It's where my wedding band came from back in 1976. I still have it on. In the early 1900s, railroad ran from Florence through Darlington to Hartsville, then on to McBee. Of course, that track has been removed now, but the old Darlington depot still remains. It is now a business office. This was the Cashua Street service station. It was truly an old school gas station. Pull up under the shelter, attendant come running out to check the air in your tires and wash your windshield and fill it up with 75 cents worth of ethyl. This is the Darlington Memorial Center. This house was built in 1889 by Charles McCulloch. He lived from 1853 to 1908. He served as town councilman and later as mayor. It was for many years a recreation center for the local youth. The Darlington Memorial Center was chartered in 1946 as a memorial to the Darlington men who died in World War II. It was funded primarily by the area Civics Club. The Julius A. Dargan House was built in 1856 for Julius A. Dargan that lived from 1815 to 1861. It was built on land acquired from Jesse H. Light in 1839. The house is a fine example of the Greek Revival style. Dargan briefly taught school and practiced law with his brother G.W. Dargan for many years. This Italianate house was designed by J.L. Klickner. Was built between 1856 and 1857 for the planter Samuel H. Wiles. He lived from 1819 to 1867. According to tradition, Klickner returned in the early 1865 as a Union soldier and persuaded his superiors not to burn the house during the raid in the area. In 1870, attorney B.W. Edwards, from 1824 to 1890, later a state senator, acquired the house. It remained in the family until 1999. Samuel H. Wiles was a member of the Darlington Agricultural Society, a colonel in the Antebellum militia, and a state representative 1856 and 57, and again in 1864. He organized the Wiles Rifles, later Company B, 21st South Carolina Infantry, at the outbreak of the Civil War as its captain and rose to major by the war's end. I am on West Broad Street. There are several late 19th to early 20th century residences designed and built by Lawrence Reese. He lived from 1864 to 1915. A native of Marlborough County who came to Darlington as a merchant in 1887. Reese had no formal training in architecture. He was self-taught master craftsman and designer. This Belt Funeral Home at 229 West Broad Street was built around 1900 as a residence for Abraham Hyman and was Reese's own favorite of the several houses that he designed here. Henry Dad Brown, from 1830 to 1907, a black veteran of the Mexican Civil and Spanish-American Wars. He's buried here with his wife Laura. Variously said to have been born free or born as a slave who purchased his and Laura's freedom. He was born near Camden, South Carolina. Brown was a brick mason and he joined the Confederate Army in 1861 as a drummer in the Darlington Grays, Company F, 8th South Carolina Infantry. Brown enlisted as a drummer in Company H, the 21st South Carolina Infantry in July of 1861 and served for the rest of the war, capturing a pair of Union drumsticks in battle. He was also a member of the Darlington Guards from 1878 to 1907, described as a man of rare, true worth. At his death in 1907, Brown was honored shortly afterward by the Darlington citizens who erected this monument. This is the St. John's Elementary School. It was founded in 1818, but I do not believe it was in this building. This is the site of the Darlington Manufacturing Company from 1883 to 1956. This memorial is dedicated to the memory of the men, women, and children who worked within the walls of the old mill for more than half a century. The old mill contributed significantly to the economy of the town of Darlington. The old mill is gone, and soon all who work within its walls will have gone also. When future generations visit this spot and look upon the memorial, they may pause and reflect on a time, a people, and a way of life that has come and gone forever. Gone but not forgotten. By Bill Shepard. Darlington. And I'll tell you, we looked up on this because the racetrack is closed today as well as the museum. But we have met the president of the racetrack and we have gained access to the track. Let's go take a look. All right, this is the Lady in Black Darlington Motor Speedway. Just a few weeks,
there will be a major race here. And there's the pit and the garages. Now, when I was little, that was the back of the track, and now it is the front. If you listen very quietly, you can hear a voice say, "Gentlemen, start your engines." Well, I have to say I'm very excited to get to look at the track this way without a lot of people here. It's pretty cool. I hope you enjoyed our trip to Darlington, South Carolina. It's been a pretty neat trip, a lot of old buildings and the racetrack. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give me a big old thumbs up. Be sure to share with your family and friends. But until next time, y'all have a good day.